I cannot be silent.
Back when Eisenhower was the president, golf courses is where most of his time was spent. So I never really listened to what the president said, because in general I believed that the general was politically dead. But he always seemed to know when the muscles were about to be flexed, because I remember him saying something, mumbling something about a military-industrial complex.
As I have walked among the desperate, rejected, and angry young men, I have told them that Molotov cocktails and rifles would not solve their problems. I have tried to offer them my deepest compassion while maintaining my conviction that social change comes most meaningfully through nonviolent action. But they ask, and rightly so, what about Vietnam? They ask if our home nation wasn't using massive doses of violence to solve its problem, to bring about the changes it wanted. Their questions hit home, and I knew that I could never again raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without having first spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government. For the sake of those boys, for the sake of this government, for the sake of the hundreds of thousands trembling under our violence, I cannot be silent.
Each one reach one, each one time.
I cannot be silent.
Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Everyone must play a part. Everyone's got to go to work. Work for peace. Spirit said work.
I cannot be silent.
Empowering the body, mind, and spirit. This is We Cannot Be Silent with Phil Rustino and Larry Pinckney.
With us now, folks, is Dale Pierce. And Dale is a former firefighter and has worked in the building trades. And he's also a father of an Iraq war veteran, Noah Pierce, who sadly lost his battle with PTSD as a result of his wartime experiences over in Iraq. And there's an article that chronicles that. And Larry and I have had Dale Pierce on our 2-hour program a couple of times. And I encourage you folks, as well as Reverend Pinckney, so I encourage you folks to go to our YouTube channel and check these archives. It's youtube.com/We Cannot Be Silent, all one word. And I strongly encourage you to take a listen to those past programs. But right now we have Dale on because he's currently working on a project with Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth in trying to get not only the anti-war community, but the firefighters and building trades professionals in this country to break their 12-plus year silence, which has allowed for the 9/11 lie to justify the 9/11 wars. Yes, 12-plus years of unabated war that have taken the life of not only his own son Noah, but the lives of literally millions of other people, and continues to do so in their collective silence on the matter. And that's the anti-war community, the firefighters, and the building trade professionals. Dale Pierce's most recent article, co-written with retired FDNY firefighter Rudy Dent, highlights the current 911 Rekindled campaign. And to get to that article in the website, you type in www.911rekindled, REKINDLE.org. And right now they're really targeting the firefighters on their silence and the consequences, the horrific, widespread consequences of their silence. And the letter that Dale co-wrote with retired firefighter Rudy Dent is entitled "Open Letter to the firefighter community and their families. And once again, that could be found at 911rekindled.org. We only have about 20 minutes left, Dale, but that is enough time, I think, for you to tell us some more about this effort and what our listeners might be able to do to help. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Phil. It's great to be here. And hi, Larry. Great to be back. And our guests, too. Hey, thanks for showing up, because our ranks are thin and we need help. We need manpower, women power, we need money. I mean, it's really sad how depleted we are, and with all the wealth in this great nation, to have it manned by so few doing this. But what it is, as a firefighter, we've painted ourselves into a corner here, and as you perpetuate a lie, it just grows and grows. And so as the smoke clears, we find ourselves into this corner of a situation. If we pull up to a high-rise building that's on fire, our code of ethics states we can't endanger the equipment or our firefighters. So basically, we can't go into the building because NIST has asserted that things can fall down now to a new element of the universe called thermal expansion, which causes global collapse syndrome, meaning a 47-story building can collapse in 6.5 seconds. So if we can't go into them and fight them, what the hell are we doing occupying them? We'd have to evacuate every high-rise building throughout the world. Retrofit them. It ain't going to happen. So here we are, just our nose is growing longer, and I refuse to be part of this. So architects and engineers asked me if I would find a way to educate firefighters and get them to sign our petition. And as a firefighter, I got to tell you, they're patriotic. They're not going to budge until they find a force large enough to move them. So I started studying what are our ethics. How does it affect firefighters? Because this is an emotional event for people. The people just don't think technically, right? Mm-hmm. So here we are. We're not dealing with rational, or we're making up excuses. Kerosene melts steel, and physics doesn't apply for 911 because objects will fall through the path of greatest resistance on 911. It's just ridiculous. So we've got to educate these guys by finding the way that it affects them. So what I discovered was there's going to be an event starting today, and what we got is a 72-foot catamaran with a massive 47 by 14-foot video screen. And we've got a 15-second advertisement playing every 2.5 minutes as it goes up and down the beach. There's going to be 35,000 firefighters and firefighting personnel on the beach, in their hotels, in high-rises, in the restaurants, on the boardwalk. There'll be up to 200,000 people per day on that beach seeing this. And it's going to be an interesting day when the firefighters are flying their colors and are approached by public that have questions. And as professional firefighters, they don't even know about Building 7, let alone talk about it in a professional manner. So it's up to them to take care of their own business. They're going to embarrass themselves, I'm afraid, because they're going to go patriotic instead of rational. And they've had 12 years of people banging on their doors, of YouTube, of rational common sense, and their training. I was trained over 40 years ago as just a forced firefighter, but, I had the basics: crime scene preservation, firefighting tactics, and fire science. The black smoke pouring out of those damn buildings, was a dead giveaway. So here we are in danger in our history as heroes and someone you can lean on. This is just leaves us speechless. So that kind of wraps it up with where we're at. I can take some questions from you guys now.
Well, I just want to throw this out really quick to you, my brother. Thank you again for being with us. We love you. You know that. And I want to say that there is a big difference between being, quote, a patriot and patriotic. Let us understand that a patriot is someone, man or woman, who stands up for truth, What they have done is the power elite, those few who control the resources of this country, is they have distorted patriotism. And, it is time for all of us, and our firefighters in particular. I want to encourage everyone in our listening audience to be in strong support of what is occurring. We need to educate ourselves and each other if we are to take this country back for the people, everyday, ordinary, black, white, brown, red, yellow people. Take it back. And the heroes and sheroes who are firefighters out there need to know that the people are not merely behind them, but are standing side by side with them. That's all I have to say at this moment. Would you say again, please say again, where people can go on the web, on the internet, to read about what you're doing?
It's a portion of the Rethink911.org campaign. When the boat goes by, it has video starts with alert, alert. It shows a fireman going down the fire pole, and then it flashes 911 rekindled, which in firefighter terms, that's an insult. You've left the job and the fire's still burning, and then you settled into your bunk, or the next day and you get a call, the fire's flared up again. That's an embarrassment. Well, 911 never went out. You know, the 921 report wasn't filed. NIST took it over. NIST asserted that it was done, collapsed due to small office fires. They kicked it back to firefighters, architects, and engineers to deal with it, and they've sat on it for all this time and have done nothing. It's dereliction of duty is what it is, with not just firefighters, but architects and engineers, journalists. We're all guilty. I mean,
right.
For instance, myself, when September 11th hit, I was educated. I knew that we had an oligarchy and that they were vicious, but I couldn't comprehend, one, they would be that vicious, and two, my mind went right away to they couldn't get in the building to do that, so therefore it didn't happen. But my training said it did happen, and even less people that were into it were saying, hey, that was a controlled demolition. I just couldn't go there. You know, my son joined the military 2 days after September 11th, so my mind was on focus, on Iraq, and I really did believe because of our foreign policy that's what happened. But years later, I had to deal with it after my son's death, and I looked at the evidence, and there it was, just bold. It was cognitive dissonance is what I had, and I can remember coming on. It was just I jumped to, they couldn't have got into the building. You know, and because it's so severe, I jumped to that, and that's what everyone's doing. As soon as they realize that if what we're saying is true, then we're screwed. So they attack you, and I'm guilty of that. But this is the point now where the firefighters have to wake up. They're being called out. It's time to stand up or just shut up. And for the listeners out there, they need to approach their firefighters and ask them just simple questions. Do you know about Building 7? How do you explain away the witnesses, the molten steel, the destruction of evidence? How are you going to go into a high-rise building that's going to collapse? And then inform them. The Code of Ethics states you will use information provided to you for the betterment of the public. We need to start talking to them and not listen to them talk to us about, you know, the hero status and all this bull.
And
right.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'd like to cut in and speak to that, because I can tell you as an on-the-ground activist since 2005 and becoming aware of the 9/11 false flag attack, having seen one of the DVDs, it's like this. I believe once you're a witness to a crime, whether you wanted to be a witness or not, it's happened. You're a witness to a crime, and with that comes responsibility. And these firefighters in New York City, these cops, they all knew that day. And if any of them are, the cops and the firefighters that were on the job on September 11th, 2001, all know. And for them to tell you they didn't, and they give this crap that, well, I'm starting to think, you know, you might have something there 12 years later is bullshit. And we got to call it. I can tell you from being an on-the-ground activist, having a weekly demo for 9 years here in Daytona Beach, approaching the firefighters, going to the firehouses, and yes, sir, thank you for sharing that, sir. And it's not. They damn well know, and the ones in New York certainly damn well know. And you say, well, what can they do? They're up against the big evil powers. Well, let me remind everybody of 4 housewives from New Jersey that were able to lock elbows. And these firefighters, man, they got no problem locking elbows when their next contract is up or there's any threat to their pension. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. We can't let these guys. We got to be real. Larry Pinckney has had a column for years called "Keeping It Real with Larry Pinckney," and I think that's why Larry and I kind of hit it off. You know, we are who we are, and we don't try to be anything different. You know, we don't compromise. And when you're around, these guys need to be called on it, not coddled. And I think, yes, approach them, hit them with the DVD in your local community. But every time I go home to New York for a funeral, these guys are the most anti 9/11 truth there is, and they're the part of this big lie. And there's millions of people dead because of their silence, and Noah Pierce is one of them. I got one brother that his stepson was killed in Obama's surge in Afghanistan. What the hell are we doing in Afghanistan still? You know, I got another brother that did 2 tours in Iraq as a Marine infantryman, 205, 207. You know, he doesn't get involved in this, but God knows what he deals with every night he puts his head on the pillow. You know, this is bullshit. We got to call them on it. They're guilty. They got blood up into their armpits, just like the anti-war movement does. They knew day one, too, the anti-war movement, and they still know. So there's my rant. And we have videos of our events that we put on for the firefighters. In 9 years here of extreme activism in the Daytona Beach area, where we had Richard Gage in the summer of 30 cities in the summer of 2012, two in the city of in the state of Florida. We had the News Journal Center where we had the event. Kathy went to all the firehouses with DVDs and flyers over a couple weeks period of time, spoke with all the firefighters. And the newspaper, the Daytona Beach News Journal, the people that built the damn center wouldn't even announce our event, let alone promote it or cover it. And these people know, and we need to be mad at them. We need to call them on it. That's my opinion. Thanks for letting me rant, guys.
Well, let me say this very quickly, and Dale, I'm going to let you go on back and take over the show like you should be. But the bottom line is this. You dig? The bottom line is that this is not only about the firefighters. This is about us. And we need to call the firefighters out and let them know that we know, and we know that they know, whether it's in New York, whether it's in Florida, whether it's in California, wherever the hell it is. Bottom line is, all of our lives are at stake. And our heroes and sheroes who are out there in 9/11 need to stand up, be human enough to stand up and say, this will not happen again. And the only way it will not happen again is if they stand up now. N-O-W, now. So that's my rant. Back to you, Dale.
Yeah.
Sorry,
guys. The argument's defenseless. You know, we've all sat on our ass. I mean, history is going to be cruel to us for this event. You know, it's a salvage operation at this point to save our reputation and what's left of our lives. We gave it up on September 11th. We simply The country cowered down, didn't ask any questions. They had guilt. You know, everyone knows our foreign policy steals our oil to live this insane life of loud mufflers and Sarah Palin sniffing the fumes of Harley motorcycles. Good Lord. So when September 11th hit, we didn't want to associate with our foreign policies, so it must have been them damn terrorists. And, well, you know, the physics just took a day off, and the military took the day off. You know, everyone took the day off. I mean, we haven't taken a goddamn national holiday. You know, we'll just take the day off from work from now on September 11th.
Easy way out.
Yeah, you know, my mom went through this in Berlin. She was 9 when the Nazis took over. And when you started pointing out the disappearances and the concentration camps and the black smoke coming out, but no products coming out of the factories, so-called factories, you were called a liberal conspiracy theorist. Mm-hmm. You know, and there my dad, he fought on his way through Utah Beach into Berlin and met my mom, and his whole life was haunted by war. And, you know, at the end, he finally realized that World War II was basically a money-making operation for Wall Street. I mean, he fought back and forth where we lost 38,000 men, you know, due to a battle that was for America's honor. You know, bullshit. It was to keep the damn war going so they could make more profit. So, you know, we get off subject with this, but it's what it is. And, you know, they call us conspiracy theorists and such, but damn, I mean, how many authors do we have that have done this? Do they all get together for convention to do their conspiracy theories so everything fits in together, author to author? You know? So we are in one hell of a situation, and I feel sorry for these modern-day firefighters. They got to live with the rest of their life. I know it haunts me that I didn't jump to it. Luckily, I've read about psychology and understand what was kicking in. You know, cognitive dissonance is a survival mechanism. It's a defensive mechanism, and it kicked in. But it's time. We've got to go wake these guys up. And it's like, okay, if you want to believe this bullshit, you can't go in those buildings. And guess what? The people paying rent got to get the frig out right now.
Right.
So,
right. You're right. You're right.
History is going to be brutal to us. I mean, my God, we laughed at the Nazis when they distorted reality, and we are warping reality. You talk to an architect or an engineer, a licensed professional that should know basic high school physics, and they're going to start telling you that metal melts at 1,800 degrees. The periodic table of elements no longer matters. It's the age of insanity, and we've got to get these people out of it. So I would encourage people to go to rethink911.org, look at our evidence, and come up with just 3 questions as simple as, do you know about 7? How about the molten metal? How about the witnesses? And then remind them, you're a firefighter, for God's sake. The biggest event in our history, your history, we lost 343 men, and you don't even know about the building? You're going to pull up in a fire truck and send your guys in there when it can collapse and you have no protocol? Show me that damn book, the manual.
Hey, guys, it is about that time. We got to start thinking about wrapping up. And I definitely want to make sure we get that blatant self-promotion in.
We'll get it. And I did want to add on one more step to that, Dale, is you hand them one of those DVDs or you hand them the link to 911rekindled.org or rethink911.org, and then they do know. They do know.
Absolutely, and document it.
But they don't have the out. So, and speaking of out, we got to take it out now. So we'll let you go first, Dale, as far as signing out here. Please leave some closing thoughts for our listeners. Oh boy, just go to your firehouses, go to your police and tell them, you know, at a firehouse, hey, you are the captain of the station. I'm serving you, and I'm going to go log it. Put it on YouTube. Go in there and film them. They are not using this information to better the public, and they're obligated to with their code of ethics. It's time to make them do their job. Or maybe we should do what the grand juries say and bring in volunteer firefighters. Save these cities a whole lot of money. We need to put the pressure on these guys, man. Exactly.
22 families a day are losing their children because of this damn war.
Yep.
And firefighters could have stopped it if they would have just done their damn job. So it's on them.
And they still need to. And we got to turn up the heat on them, and have them get the gonads enough to match that of 4 housewives from New Jersey. Larry, closing comments.
Only closing comment is it is time to turn up the heat on them and us, on we ourselves. Take it to the streets as the Doobie Brothers. Y'all remember the Doobie Brothers. I'm not that old. The Doobie Brothers, taking it to the streets. It's time, all right? And it is us who are responsible. We are responsible. So let's do something about it now. Please go to intrepidreport.com. That's Intrepid Report, intrepidreport.com, where you can find my articles, or you can go to blackactivistwg.org, which stands for Black Activist Writers Guild, blackactivistwg.org, where you can go all the way from 1968 to June 2014. All power to the people. Thank you so very, very much. Gary, we love you. United We Strike, we love you. Back to you.
Thanks, Larry. UnitedWeStrike.com. Don't buy, don't comply. Ask why.
I cannot be silent.
Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Everyone must play a part. Everyone got to go to work. Work for peace. Spirit say work.
I cannot be silent.